Hello and welcome inside Phoenix Municipal Stadium for another edition of the Sun Devil Source Baseball Series recap show following ASU's series win over Texas Tech. I'm Jacob Brooks, that's Joaquin Rodriguez, and Joaquin, this is a very interesting series to say the least. It was Saturday that was the final day of the series, not the typical Sunday, but there was a doubleheader today on Saturday. ASU and Texas Tech had to finish up Game 2 of the series, then 45 minutes later played Game 3 of the series because of a weather postponement Friday night. Can you just kind of explain to everyone what happened with that?
Well, yeah, ASU took Game 1. It was a good performance top to bottom. Bloomquist felt good about his squad. And then Friday going into Game 2, which wasn't the usual start. Normally you go Saturday, Game 2. So Friday they're going into Game 2. And then second through fifth inning, nonstop raining, nonstop pouring. And then coming to the bottom of the seventh, ASU gets an infield single to tie the Game 7 apiece. And as soon as Walker sets up to the plate with bases loaded and a chance to regain the lead, they call the game off because of rain, lay the tarp out, and they're going to resume Saturday at noon, and that's where they go from there. You start Saturday here at Phoenix Muni, and Kyle Walker steps up to the plate with bases loaded. A weird start. It's not really normal to start the game with bases loaded and you step up to the plate. But Walker did a job, earned a walk, got the lead, and then after Walker earned that walk, they tally on another run, and then late in the bottom of the ninth, Carlone closed things out. Even though it got a little shaky at first with Tech putting on another run, but they took Game 2 9-8. Then that took us to Game 3, which started at 1:20 p.m. here at Phoenix Muni. And it started off hot for the Sun Devils. They gave up 2 runs early, responded with 2 runs of their own, and then proceeded to be shut out for 6 straight innings of no-no baseball. I believe at one point, 10 of their batters were retired in a row, all sat down. So offensively just struggled from the plate. And then on the pitching mound, I mean, Alba struggled with one of his worst starts of the season, only going 3 innings. And as his pitching staff as a whole, they gave up 6 homers in the game. I mean, overall, top to bottom, defense really shaky. Bloomquist said the offense really struggled. They were swinging at pitches too low in the zone, he even said. And then on the mound, he said he really didn't get his best stuff from guys he expects to get his best stuff from. But overall, I mean, Game 3 was really shaky. But they took the series overall with that Game 2 win today at noon.
So, Joaquin, building off of that, this pitching staff, it's been the topic of discussion throughout all of Willie Bloomquist's tenure at ASU, but this season in particular, ASU has expectations and has 2 star starters with Ben Jacobs and Jack Martinez. They've proved themselves, they've delivered time and time again, but that Game 3 starting spot and then the bullpen, it's what's been kind of rocky. Jaden Alba, he got off to a great start to this season. He was looking phenomenal, and then he had that lower body injury that took him out in the game against Minnesota. He spent almost a month sidelined. He comes back and he just doesn't look like his former self, and then the bullpen has just been all over the place. I mean, Willie today said in his presser that Jonah Giblin hasn't been Jonah Giblin over the last couple weeks, and he doesn't know what it's going to take for him to get back to his usual form. What do you make of the current state of ASU's pitching staff, and can they find a realistic scenario where everybody's clicking on all cylinders?
Yeah, well, you hit on the nail. They didn't get what they want from Jonah Giblin. Heading into the year, Bloomquist talked about how Giblin is that arm that he expects to get a lot of innings out of, close out games and late. And today was a prime example of just him not fulfilling that role Bloomquist wanted him to fulfill heading into the year. Now, in terms of Alba, I mean, he hasn't been the same since he got back from injury. Before going into injury, I believe he had the second best ERA in the team, super high up there. Then went out for a month after that injury to Minnesota, like you said, and just hasn't been the same since. He only went 3 innings today, like we said earlier. Just really didn't put his team in the best position to win. Yeah, but I mean, the pitching staff as a whole ended the night giving up 18 hits. I mean, just not a recipe for success if you want to make that leap back to postseason play like Bloomquist has been dying to do the last 3 seasons.
So, Joaquin, on the offensive side, that's been what's carried ASU throughout this season, 1 through 9. It seems like every guy, if you need him to deliver, he can. You've got everyone capable of hitting bombs here at Phoenix Muni. But today, like you said, those bats fell silent in Game 3 of the series. Who has been stepping up recently for you, and who, in your eyes, do you see you need a little more out of them?
I mean, in the past month, I'd say, of play, the 2 key names are Matt Key and Kyle Walker, the middle infield duo that were both acquired via the transfer portal this past offseason. Walker from Gremlin State and then King from UTSA. I mean, they both lead the team in batting average. I know King was on a 15-game hitting streak up until yesterday when he went 0 for 4, struggled in yesterday's game. But, I mean, 15-game hitting streak. Walker's been aboard 24 of 25 last games. He stepped into that leadoff role against TCU in that 3 series ago to start Big 12 play, and he hasn't looked back. He's been a super hot bat. Bloomquist talked about how he's just one of those guys that is a tough out for anybody to get out, and he's just delivered in that role. Now, in terms of the new additions that have really stepped up, Landon Harrison's a name that comes to mind. He's a true freshman, one of only true freshmen to see consistent playing time for the team this this year, and with all these people leaving next year or expected to leave next year, Harrison's a good man to pipeline that talent into the next season, keep things going for Bloomquist. But those are the three names that really jump off the stat sheet.
So Joaquin, earlier in the series recap show, you talked about the postseason expectations surrounding ASU, and with a lot of guys leaving at the end of the season, they want to get one last run in. What chances do you give ASU at making the postseason and then potentially making a run?
Well, yeah, Baseball America's last three additions to their postseason projection had ASU in it. And then D1 Baseball's most recent, last Tuesday, had them in the UC Irvine Regional, which is a regional they fare up fairly well against, being that they do struggle with that end of the week pitching, but their bats are hot, and if they come in at the right time, Martinez and Jacobs dealing the way they have been, they could definitely take that series. Now, in terms of Baseball America's predictions, they had them in the Oxford, Mississippi, and Baton Rouge Regional. I mean, those SEC teams are no joke. They have pitching top to bottom, hitting top to bottom, which you know what they say. I mean, you're only as good as your Sunday starter is. So because of that, ASU would be in a little bit of a shaky situation. But, I mean, with the right region, they definitely have a chance to advance. And then with Jacobs and Martinez, who can win a game single-handedly, and Carlone out of the pen, who has been the strongest arm, no doubt, up to this date. I mean, it all just depends where they draw. But postseason is definitely in the picture as they're in the last four projections from both media outlets.
Well, over halfway through Big 12 play, this ASU squad has a little bit of time left, but not a lot of time left to make a push for the postseason. Only time will tell. We appreciate all of you for tuning into this edition of the Sun Devil Source Series Recap Show. I'm Jacob Brooks, that's Joaquin Rodriguez, and we're saying so long from Phoenix Muni.